Riveting content. Empowering your life. Welcome to the Sphere. This episode is sponsored by
Sphere Exclusives. Looking for exclusive content from your favorite podcasts here at the Sphere? Head over to sphere.tv/Patreon and sign up today. True Digital Media Consulting. You're online right now and so are your customers, but marketing has to be a consistent journey. True Digital Media Consulting can help with your online ads, organic growth, and so much more. Contact us today at 832-934-4436 or visit our website at truedigitalmediaconsulting.com. Lady R.I.P Natural Hair Care. Lady R.I.P Natural Hair Care has been a prime destination for catering to naturally kinky hair in Houston, Texas. Give the experts a call today at area code 832-265-3792 or book online at ladyari.com.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining in for another episode of Society Now, a show that endeavors to bring you riveting content that ensures to incite, inspire.
There it is.
And give you some good information about what's going on in your hood, throughout the global hood, in our neighborhood.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's a hood.
It's a hood.
It's a hood on a Saturday.
It's a hood on a Saturday.
Anyways, my name is Kira Laws, and you can follow me on Instagram at The Modern Day Cindy. That's Cindy with CINDI. And to my far left is my handsome co-host.
What's going on? It's your man, Kaylin Laws, a.k.a. Senor Wapo. Do me a quick favor. Get your fingers ready. Go to Instagram. Go to Twitter. Go to Facebook and type in SENORGUAP0713. Holla at your boy. We certainly appreciate you tuning in each and every week to Society Now, where we talk about hashtag real facts. No fake news around here.
No
we
alternative
talking real.
facts.
None of that, man.
Not media spent facts.
None of that.
Okay.
We talking the real. And we are talking the real with a real. I mean, caps lock, underscore. Hashtag.
Back that thing up.
Bold.
It.
Underline.
Italicized. Lean to the right.
Listen, go hit file and go to insert and then type emojis and stuff next to it. Real good friend, a sister of mine, 16 years in the making. She has her own platform. We're going to dig into all of that, but she is a tastemaker. She is, you are a tastemaker. You are a tastemaker. She's a tastemaker. She's a woman of faith, a woman of just a very just art and just love and compassion and family. And don't get it twisted. She's from the southwest side of Houston, Texas, as well.
From Most City.
Most City, where the girls are pretty.
All the girls
you know
pretty.
what I'm talking about?
Listen, y'all come to Houston. Ask them about Most City. Ask them.
Facts.
We got verifiable facts.
Big facts.
Facts. And so I got my sister Angela T. Robinson. What's up?
Hey, bro.
How you?
I am excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for answering the call last. We was real black with the last minute, but
real black.
I was like, Kate was like, what you saw Angela put on? I said, put on the show.
What sparked it was what you posted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay,
she was like, let's talk about that. I said, well, let me see if she's available. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man, listen.
So we certainly appreciate you coming in. Let's just jump right in. So talk to us about this whole mixing single thing. Like tell us about the genesis of it and everything.
Okay. So, Kaylin, as you know, I am a person of network.
Mm-hmm.
I love connecting people and making sure people know the right person. And I'm also a pseudo matchmaker.
Mm-hmm.
So Mixing Single was birthed out of my passion for that. Mixing Single, the mixing single is networking. It is matchmaking. It is having a good time. The goal is to get singles from behind the keyboard and in front of one another to feel energy, to, get to know one another on a real level without, the insecurity of, is this person real? Am I being catfished? That type of thing.
That's a real concern nowadays.
Yeah.
This whole catfish
Yeah.
thing. Seriously.
And, people can create, personas online. And so now we're bowling. We're going to the movies. We're doing all kinds of stuff and hanging out and actually feeling each other's energy and, doing a little flirting and whatnot. But we also have a podcast, and the podcast is, some candid discussions about the realities and the issues facing being single and being in relationships and all of that today.
I'm sitting there looking for my phone. My daughter has it because I'll text you an idea in a minute.
Absolutely.
In a minute, and I just got one. So give me
give
notes
me my
or something
phone.
so I can put it in there. 'Cause it just hit me because I'm like, where's my phone? I need to text her this idea.
Oh yes. So let me go to Kaylin. Here's Kaylin. Okay, so text yourself.
Right, text myself. So when we start talking about mixing single, and I love the fact it's a powerful line to me. Get behind the keyboard and in front of each other.
Yes.
Because we as Generation X, Y, millennials, whatever, however you want to coin from, I guess from the 70s on down.
Yeah.
We have the wisdom and the grind of the baby boomers who raised us.
Yes.
But at the same time, we have that social
Man.
adeptness.
That microwave.
Yeah, and we really want to be able to connect with
Yeah.
people. So it's something. But when you out there hustling, and
Oh,
Lord
yeah.
knows, you got 3 brands, you run 12 brands, you got,
Yeah.
I remember back in the days when you were nail teching. And,
Oh,
and
yeah.
all, you know what I'm
Well,
saying? And
yeah. That's still on my list of things to
right.
do.
But what I'm saying
yeah,
is,
absolutely.
doing so much to build, sometimes something is going to fall short.
Yeah.
And relationships oftentimes do.
Absolutely.
when you
And
hustle.
and I am single myself, and I don't fake and front like, I'm not dealing with these same issues. So we're having those conversations and it's live happening.
Yeah.
The DMs and but I think my perspective is a little different and in many ways because I see a lot of the things that women are doing, and I'm not that woman who just gets behind women just because they're women.
Yeah.
If you're wrong, you're wrong.
Right, you for right. Yeah.
And so a lot of women are blasting men on social media about getting in the DMs, and all this stuff. That makes men digress from approaching women, and that's kind of what the issues are today. That's one of the biggest issues. We could talk about this single life.
That's what we're here because I want everyone that's listening and everyone that's watching to understand and to know that there are resources out there.
Yeah.
Such as mixing single, right?
Yeah.
That
We can have an open conversation.
Yeah, you can have an open conversation, but you can also be in a safe space.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You
It's
don't have
no
to-
pressure.
Yeah, you don't have to be attacked.
We
and
have a
things of that
Facebook
nature.
group. It's Mixing Single.
Listen.
And we have about 960 members.
I had no idea it was that big.
Yeah, it's grown, and it's still growing. I think I have about 20 people waiting to get in the group right now.
So you said waiting. Is there a vetting
so
process?
there's a vetting process.
Okay.
So that's probably why it's not as big as it could be.
But
because
900 strong. Yeah.
I'm asking questions. Are
got
you? Are you single?
Facts.
Yeah.
We not getting into none of that crap.
Are you between the ages of 30 to 50? Because that's my demographic. And are you gainfully employed? Because we don't, we have events, we have things going on, and we don't have time for the shenanigans.
Right.
Are you willing to attend the events? Because if you're not willing to attend the events, you're defeating the entire purpose.
Right.
The great thing is that I'm gaining traction in other cities. So I have a few people in New York. I have a few people in Atlanta. I have some folks in California, a couple in Vegas. So, as we grow, I'll be hosting events in other cities.
I got a plug for you in Memphis too.
Oh, okay.
I got a plug for you.
Well, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Yeah, I got a plug for you in Memphis. He's married, but he's plugged into the scene, into the game like
Absolutely.
that. So he can really be my friend's brother. He's like a big brother to me.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I
About
definitely,
Cedric?
yeah, Cedric. Yeah,
I'm with it.
Came
I'm
in
with
the
it.
conversation.
That's
Right.
okay.
Yeah, because you know what I'm talking
Listen,
about. So
I'm with it.
I love the fact that you vet the people.
Yes.
That's coming into the Facebook.
And I'm
group.
always thinking of new questions to ask based on what's happening in the group.
Right.
Because, when you're dealing with people throw things people throw things at you all the time. You would be surprised how many different things someone posted something about being poly the other day, and
Yeah,
so I'm like,
polyamorous.
now,
Yeah.
okay, wait. So now I gotta ask another question.
Are you
know,
poly or
yeah. Well,
yeah.
not are you poly, but how yeah. Are you single? That's
right,
really what that
exactly,
question is.
exactly, exactly.
But yeah.
crazy.
So there's
It's a
so many
different
different things that are birthing out of mixed and single. So just
So when did you start the group?
July 2017.
It's a baby.
It's still a baby. Mixed and single is still a baby. I've rebranded and all kinds of things, and of course, I will be continuing to modify, as time goes on.
Yeah,
But
no, I mean that's the hallmark of a good business person, right?
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
to be able to be malleable, keep the vision,
Yeah.
but it's more than one way to get to the Galleria Mall.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's why I want to go shopping. But
You
I
can
go
even,
pick a dime.
fly in a helicopter.
Exactly. So it's all kind of ways to get there. And
yes.
so this portion of the show, however, is sponsored by the Sphere exclusive team. Are you looking for exclusive content that you can't find anywhere else? Well, look no further than our Sphere exclusives found only on Patreon. We've got behind the scenes shots happening daily at the Sphere Podcast Studios. Now, each show on the podcast network curates episodes that are only delivered to Patreon subscribers. Plus, we deliver the show live from start to finish in our Discord server that's exclusive to our Patreon family. Sign up today at www.thesphere.tv/Patreon to join our $2, $5, or $8 Patreon tier and get access to all of the exclusive content we offer at the Sphere. Sign up today. I didn't do it yet. Angela, I hadn't put it in there yet because we were talking and I let it close. My bad.
Okay.
So no, because I get random.
Yes.
You and I will be talking, and then I get an idea for the show for her, and I'll text her. And I got one while we were talking. I don't have my phone because Eden has it.
I got it. No,
So,
he has
oh,
it.
okay, my
Eden
son
has
has
my phone.
Essex. Somebody got somebody's phone. I don't know.
It's a family affair, people.
It's
Right,
a family
absolutely.
affair. I love it. Yes, Kaylin is always texting me with ideas. I love him so. He's more. Sometimes I feel like he's more excited about me in moments than I am. 'Cause
Kaylin is really good at good at creating ideas for people. Like he really does come up with ideas for a lot of people.
Really?
He really does.
That's that brain of his.
It's
child.
amazing, and
It's something.
So if anybody got something in their pocket for us, listen, my husband been shelling out ideas over here. We need to get a
you gonna
percentage.
start charging for
We're
that.
charging for this
I
need to.
consultation,
But
but some of it is
What
just
is it?
it's a blessing.
Content curator. Yeah.
No,
you
and
can-
I am, and I do, and I am on content that is on the resume, but it just comes so easily and quickly. Somebody tell me something, it just
Yeah, we're gonna have to-
start
we're
flying
gonna
out the
create-
mouth.
create
My
you
wife, I love her. She's patient with me, and I appreciate it because she's like, dude, you got to hold some of this stuff. But I'm
Yeah,
like,
some of you have to hold because there's value to it. And we had a really
Yeah.
good friend who's also like she's our PR person, and she's like, y'all have so many things to give, and y'all give it away, and people will pay y'all for it. She's like, there are people that
I'm
are
sitting
seeking.
here thinking like,
She said people will pay y'all. She said y'all need to stop
I need to put
being
him on mixed single payroll.
right. So she was like it's not a negative thing. She said it's okay to ask, charge people. So it's just adjusting because when you're groomed to be a giver, it's an adjustment. But you have to realize we live in a world where people are paying. So it's
And what's
People
always
are not
about-
only paying, but they're taking.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
Wait, no,
Right.
for sure.
Listen,
For sure. And my wife
listen.
she's an attorney, and so she's a protector of ideas.
Yeah.
I'm
on
always-
paper,
so, I need to talk to you. About
as the on paper as well as just who she is.
And
And,
I just-
so for me, I kind of. And it has to use. I have to use wisdom in applying this, but I
Yeah.
think of the scripture that says, "Freely have I received, so freely I give."
Mm-hmm.
So it just comes to me so easily.
okay.
So why not go ahead? But
And there's
there is
nothing wrong with that.
But I have to do it. You're right. You have to be wise in whatever you
yes,
do, right?
and discerning.
And discerning for sure.
and
Absolutely.
and
Look
freaking
at us fussing
discern.
at Kaylin, but that's okay.
That's fine. Listen, I don't run from accountability.
There's always room to grow.
It
Absolutely
is.
not.
It's also
Absolutely.
always room to grow.
Yeah,
So
we gotta grow.
So Mixed and Single has grown to almost 1,000 members. You got
Almost.
20
That's
people.
amazing.
Right, it's 20 people. You got a cruise coming up. Okay, you had a cruise.
I
coming
had a cruise
up.
coming up, but
Okay.
we are delaying it until 2020.
Okay.
But it's still happening.
Okay. You're just pushing it back.
We're just pushing it
No
back a
doubt.
little bit so we can get some more sponsorships.
Oh, good.
Very
Things
smart.
of that nature.
See, again, you
Yeah.
still going to the Galleria.
Yeah.
You just
Strategy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm in
It
a
is-
helicopter. I'm good.
right.
But it's a strategy, and I
Yeah.
think that's what a lot of people, they run out there and they have so many great ideas, and it's okay to kind of
Scale it back a little bit.
Scale it back
Yeah,
and
I'm
figure out
learning that. I'm learning
timing.
that.
Listen, we're dealing with that right now.
Listen, people. Oh my
Listen,
gosh.
Linda,
Listen, Linda.
So what we got going on? You got
Yeah.
Mixing Single. We got Angela T. Robinson here, the
And we-
CEO.
and
And
we got.
pretty soon I'll be into public speaking. So
Oh yeah,
pray
because
for me.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's amazing. I had a interesting run with my debut.
Yeah.
If one thing happened and it kind of like it dominoed, so the bunch of I get it.
Yeah,
So
March went crazy.
March was mad for me, but I learned a lot to prepare me for the next run
Okay.
because I needed to learn
Like,
what I learned.
literally every week. It's 5 weekends in March. She had 7 speaking engagements, something like that.
But it all started with one, but each one I learned something from because I realized God has a sense of humor. Number one, number two, it will never be as structured in my mind the way I would
Well,
think.
you would, oh yes.
It's always behind the scenes. It's always something, and that's what I got to get my game up to make sure I'm always prepared for the unknown.
for the unknowns. Yeah.
So that's interesting too.
You know what else is interesting? Our Facebook Live family. We want to thank you for tuning in, but you've got to subscribe to get the rest of the show. Now, subscribe to our show on all the major platforms, including iTunes, right? Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud,
Yes.
Stitcher, Spreaker. Listen, anywhere you want to get your podcast content, right? Review our show across all platforms to help us build better content for you and share. Again, I say share. Third time for the Holy Ghost. Share this
Come on now.
entire show with your family and friends right from the Sphere Podcast Network Facebook page. And last but not least, support what we have going on. Support our mission to bring enriched and inspiring content each and every week. You can do a one-time donation at www.thesphere.tv/donate or get exclusive content almost daily via our Patreon tiers. Sign up at www.thesphere.tv/Patreon. So when you were developing Mixing Single, when you were developing this fantastic platform, first of all, how can people contact you, get a hold of it,
Oh, wow.
apply, all of that kind of deal?
So we're on Instagram. Actually, we're everywhere at MIXNSINGLE. Whenever you type that, you can find us. We're on YouTube with our podcast here at the Sphere Studios. Please subscribe. We're on Facebook. We're even on Pinterest. So wherever
what's
you
up.
are looking
dope.
for,
Yeah.
so wherever you're looking for us, you can find us. But definitely
Yeah,
follow
no
us on
idea.
Instagram, MIXNSINGLE, www.mixnsingle.events.com. There you will find our affiliates and also some links to get to our events and our podcast.
Yeah,
love
yeah.
it.
Y'all book theaters for movie
Yes,
premieres.
we
and
absolutely
everything.
do
Y'all
all
do
of
We got to
that.
talk to you about some stuff offline.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm down. Whatever y'all want to do. We're actually my next big thing that I'm so excited about
Uh-oh.
is we're gonna do a all male panel,
Oh, yeah.
and Kaylin has volunteered his
Of course he has.
knowledge and
course
and
he
all
has.
of that, and we have a couple of other guys. We actually have Gary Lee and Dorian.
Yeah, Andre Dorian.
That's gonna be
And
funny.
Also,
Love
Tony
Black.
Massey, who
Okay.
will all be on the panel. It's going to be a real sexy event. I'm
Okay.
so excited.
It's gonna be
So
sexy.
be on the lookout.
Was it May 10th?
May 10th.
Yeah, May 10th.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it'll be. We're looking for some vendors and sponsors to sponsor some giveaways and
No.
things like
Oh,
that.
that's gonna be
Oh,
fun.
yeah, I can get you some of that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that's easy.
Bet.
See how you
Let's
used
do
to
it.
stuff. I'm just getting.
So I'm really excited about that, and we're calling that the All Kings panel.
Okay.
It's called Cards on the Table, which means that we're being truthful and open and honest.
I'm gonna come as a spectator. I ain't
You have to
single, but,
come because it's going to be
I ain't
all
no single, but I ain't-
married couples.
Yeah.
No. Married couples, everybody, dating couples,
Oh, this is
whoever
gonna be good
wants
and
to
healthy.
have relationship conversations. Because I feel like, couples who are in, relationships, I don't want to say situations, but relationships and marriages have so much to offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Where it
absolutely.
pertains, how they got to the end game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm opening that to everybody.
I love
So,
it.
yeah, and then we'll have a Queens panel, and you can. Okay. All right.
Love to be on the Queens panel. Yeah.
Yes,
Love it.
yes.
So let's talk about what's been going on this
Oh
week.
man.
Man.
And this week started off pretty heavy for many of us.
Yeah.
Sunday, the beginning of our week, we got some really terrible news about the passing of Nipsey Hussle, and unfortunately, his death wasn't. It was a brutal death. It was a violent death. It wasn't because he was a violent man, and that's what makes it even more harsh. Because we talk about deaths like that when we're not, it's one thing to pass of age, even sickness. It's another thing when it's violent. Yeah, and it's violent.
Your life was literally taken.
Your life was taken from you, and taken in the middle of you doing good.
Yeah. Right.
And so we hear the background story of why he was it was his place of business, but why he was there on a Sunday. He was actually there to give somebody some clothing.
Who had just gotten out
of jail.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody knew he was supposed to be there. He just happened to be out talking to the people, and someone else came who he had known, but not known like that. And he just kind of told him, you don't need to come around here like that, bro. Yeah. And the dude came back and shot him and killed him. Yeah. And shot him, came back and shot him again. And to make sure he was dead. That's an ugly, violent, negative. Yeah. That's evil. Yeah. That's truly evil. And of course,
perfect word for it.
It's evil. Just talking about a man who he shared his wisdom, although he was from the streets. Shared his wisdom, although he came from gang culture. He was like, "I'm not a banger. I am a part of. I have not removed myself from the game. I don't bang no more. I don't do this. Right. I'm actually building. So he was sharing wisdom about real estate and reinvesting in your block and talking about how do you uplift people. He was like, in even relationship advice. He actually gave relationship advice. He was like, it ain't no fun if you can't bring your lady along. Like you bring your lady with you, when you're building, and all these things trying to give, wisdom to the streets and try to redirect. If someone said that, he did what Pac talked about.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
He actually was able to do what Pac was talking about, and met an unfortunate death. And it, really, I think it hits people on so many levels, because even the Dr. Sebi thing, even trying to encourage people to eat clean, live clean, and how people, how we got to this point where it was so many theories about him dying. Some said it was because of Dr. Sebi. A lot of us, especially a lot of us, we could not even fathom that it could have been the streets.
Right.
Not off
the real.
No.
Because the streets love him.
Because the streets love him. Like, why would somebody? This man is doing stuff for the streets.
He's
protected by the streets. Technically,
his love was so strong in the streets that they came together for a day of peace to mourn him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about like the
that
OGs and the Damus. They came together to mourn him and to march on his behalf. Like, no, this is a son of L.A. Forget the fact that he was a 60.
We talk about people like here in Houston. People came together. People in Detroit came together.
Beautiful.
We saw New York. We saw people. Trey the Truth. We actually flew out after they did the thing here, and he was like, "I just had to come," and I was like, "This heavy," because you don't think about the impact in our time.
Yeah. And if we could pause for a second, I'm so glad you said Trey the Truth, because I saw something.
Yeah.
I saw something
online. We need
online.
to honor this man.
I saw something online said so many of y'all going so hard for Nipsey, which y'all should, but y'all not going hard for your Nipseys in your own city.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure as front runners of the movement and participants in the movement that we big up our brother.
Yeah, for sure.
Trey
He
the
does.
Truth, because
it's him and DJ
Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr.
They Trey has been banned
from
radio.
From radio.
Radio 1. Yeah.
But he's a true soldier.
He is, man. And so shout out to you, Trey the Truth, man.
And that's crazy, because that band from Radio 1 came up, resurfaced recently. And I had a conversation with one of my best friend's daughters on Facebook, because she wasn't sure why. She's young. She wasn't sure, or her friends weren't sure what happened. And to even hear that story, read it again after so many years, it's petty.
It's petty. And I'm like, I'm like, y'all didn't ban. Well, let's be clear about this. Y'all just started banning R. Kelly, muting him.
Yeah.
And we knew.
Yeah, years ago.
Decades ago.
He was.
I don't even want to talk about
that. But we have to definitely. Because he is truly a soldier.
I muted R. Kelly back in.
Yeah, I did too. After and I didn't see the video, and I was like, no.
Well,
it just.
I did.
But I didn't, and I just was like, it's disgusting. But
no way.
But like you said, Caitlin, truthfully, we definitely need to make sure we are bigging up those in our own city, because him and DJ Mr. Rogers and the Relief Gang, they actually are on their hands and feet in Houston and beyond.
The hands
they will
of God, because they have
fly anywhere.
Yes, to go support.
To any city.
And
They went out. They went out to the Carolinas when the
Yeah.
floods happened, right?
They
It
went
was
to Puerto Rico, I
Yeah.
think.
Puerto Rico. You know, they went to New York. You know, it's just
And I
It's
think
crazy.
we just don't do it. I'm just
Support.
really, I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
shout out to them. But yeah, so I think this is really the impact, Nipsey's impact. What does his death represent to us? Because I feel like, again, because we didn't really have a real strong, we still really, we know we have a finger on somebody that supposedly have done it, right? But we don't know the story behind it, the real story behind it. And all the things that he was connected to. I think I'm glad that so many persons in entertainment stepped up. Like I told you, Nick Cannon said he's going to step up and he's going to finish the documentary. Other people say they want to partner with his business partner to finish the STEM program to put it in different cities. I'm like
crazy. I'm like blown away by the STEM program.
but I'm sitting there thinking like, I'm glad. So sad. I'm glad that people see, I mean, people were seeing it before,
Find
but I'm
value.
glad like people are like, well, let's go carry on the legacy,
Yes.
because this man was doing
Yeah.
stuff that,
Yeah.
you know,
And I'm certain his brother Black Samuel is going to also you know be, and I'm sure Lauren will, but I think the focus has been you know his legacy, not only his legacy but his children,
Yeah, for sure.
and you know his family and how we can support that also, because I'm certain that was the bottom line. You
yeah,
know,
bottom line is make sure my
and,
family's okay.
So you know they've been promoting his clothing line, his store, and I would love to see Marathon everywhere. I would love to see that.
Wouldn't that be great if
Yeah.
if one of the larger companies bought, like Diddy bought it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or partner with it.
or
you know,
Rock- or
for
Rock Nation.
Rock Nation to
Yeah.
production. That Damon John, I don't know if you listen.
Yeah.
Hopefully you listen
Yeah.
one day.
Damon John.
That you put some money behind this movement.
Because it's so funny that you said it, because I'm thinking about a couple of, like maybe a month or so ago, we were looking at something that Diddy said, and something that, not Diddy, but something that Russell Simmons was talking about. And he was like, a lot of, when we did the hip hop gear back in the day, we thought that we were making it big when they put it in the big department stores, but actually they actually wanted to buying us out and dwindle down our product to where it was nothing. So yes, for sure, we need the right partnership that's going to keep it alive and make sure that monies are funneled to his kids and you know their college funds or their living expenses or whatever, because it has to be such that it's not bought just to dilute it.
Right.
The vision can't be diluted,
because he was not a diluted. He was definitely not a diluted influence. No. So you were talking about the theory side of it.
Oh, for sure. Let's talk about that, because that's what I wanted to do. I know we're here. We got to talk about the theory and why conspiracy theories matter.
Why do they matter?
Why do they matter?
I mean, listen, let me tell you why they matter. I'm gonna tell you why they matter.
Listen,
Tesla, Oklahoma is why they matter.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Trauma and strife.
You know what I'm saying?
Sandra Bland.
Sandra Bland is why.
Riveting content.
The Tuskegee.
Tuskegee experiment, syphilis,
Yes.
is why they matter, right? I mean, come on, we've dealt
Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street. Our I said Tesla, I meant Tulsa. Our community has dealt with conspiracy.
Issues.
Listen, the fact that we don't even have the right number in terms of a demographic count. They only say we're 13% of the country. No, we're not. We're larger than that.
We have to be.
You know,
That doesn't even make sense.
And it's so funny. I mean, just even before we jump into it, but it's so funny that I heard you talk about this earlier today on the radio about that 13%. But I think that's the part that they if they keep the number small in their mind, they don't have to realize how big.
Listen,
That's the same thing they do with the continent of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking at the maps, I was looking at someone's logo the other day. Just random. I'm always looking at logos because now people are asking me to make logos. So I was looking at logos.
You make logos, girl?
Girl, let's not start.
Talking to you.
So I was looking at a logo, and the backdrop of the logo had the world map laid out. You know how they do it in the
flat.
sphere. And I was looking at the size of Africa in
Comparison
to all, and I said, well, they lying.
Wait,
That's not right.
But isn't that, hold on, that's so funny, because I'm like, that's what they try to do. It's the distortion of media that feeds you the things that they want you to see. And thinking about media, this portion of the show is sponsored by True Digital Media. Come on now. You're online right now, and so are your customers. The question is, how do you actively reach them? Marketing has to be a consistent journey, and we're here to walk with you every step of the way. True Digital Media Consulting can help you with website development, online ads, your business reputation, and organic growth on search engines. Give us a call today to discuss a customized strategy for your business at 832-934-4436 or send an email over at info@truedigitalmediaconsulting.com. Again, the number is 832-934-4436, or email us at info@truedigitalmediaconsulting.com. Mention the Sphere to receive a 30-minute strategy consultation for free.
All right.
All right.
Mention the Sphere, baby.
And talk about these media conspiracies.
You hear me?
So yeah, so I think you know, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's Dr. Sabi," and "Oh, it's this," and "Oh, it's that." And I think I've had the ongoing thought that jealous, envy, ego, and opportunity was definitely a part of this death. But you always have that little, you know, that little bell in the back of your head that's like, you know, okay, so here are my questions. You know, you were about to have an interview the very next day with
the
LAPD.
The very next day.
The very next day. And this young man, the reason why he told him to get away from his store is because he was a known informant. And all of that, I mean, you can't help but say, come on now.
A known informant who had just been released 2 days ago for informing.
Yes.
And from my understanding, and I wasn't there, but you know, the way he killed him seemed to be very pointed. Like usually,
Yes.
I mean, I have never shot anyone, thank God. But you know, you shoot somebody, you usually run away because you're shooting and you're assuming that you got them, but you shoot, run away, and come back to make sure that they're dead and shoot again. Like you know, that to me is very. It's almost like I have an assignment.
Yeah.
That's
It was
what it
almost
felt like that.
I know
I have to do
that I
this.
have to do this, and I know that I am protected in some way.
And I also told Kaylin, I said, you know, the bad thing is when you shoot somebody, you're already in trouble, regardless, right?
Period.
Whether they did or not.
Yeah.
And the way, and the person that he shot, he had to know that he was going to be in trouble, whether he died or not.
Yeah.
Either way, your life is over. In my mind,
Yeah.
your life is over, whether he killed him or not. So I felt like that was an assignment. You know what I mean? I was because
it definitely
And
brings,
it felt
yes.
it felt not right.
And I'm sitting there thinking about how he even was, how and where he was even arrested. Somewhere where he would be
In a
safe,
a mental
health
health
facility, like as if it was planned. Okay, this is what's going to happen. So what you need to do, because the streets is after you now. Like you
Yeah,
killed- you
my
killed-
dad mentioned this, and I had not seen it on the news, but I'm sure that they are after his family, this young man's family, this murderer's family. Somebody's gotten shot or killed or something. It was on the news. My dad called me to tell me that, you know, he saw that. And so, you know, yeah, I can see people saying, you know, common sense would say run to somewhere, a safe haven, but a mental hospital.
Because
but-
I
you know,
would get
from
on a plane.
legal perspective.
Well, he probably can go. He can't afford to go.
He
on a
can't.
plane.
He can't. Well, yeah, because somebody gave him money, they weren't gonna give him cash like that.
Right.
This is true.
Right.
This is true.
And somebody probably like, well, if you go to mental health, nobody's gonna be looking for you there.
Yeah.
If you go into the police station, of course you're a snitch.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
And if you go
that's
to a regular hospital, they come in.
Yeah,
they
it's
come
coming.
in. So
Yeah.
and
You can't go to
apparently,
Big Talk.
and there's
Yeah.
actually a video when he was arrested, and the girl called and was like, "This is where I work."
Right.
And my coworker pretty much told me that he called in here and said, "Hey, I am whoever they say I am. I'm coming in because whatever." So
It
he
was
called.
It's what I'm saying. It was because people don't hit mental hospitals.
Yeah.
And the people in the middle, you know what I'm saying, that they're trained to deal with disaster and all this
Yeah,
kind of deal.
that's
So
true.
it's just I really felt like that he was instructed to go there. And so this whole conspiracy thing, people are like, it's not that serious. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. And then when you
But
even
you
look at
gotta-
who's representing him, Christopher Darden.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Immediately.
He can't afford, because now of course Darden does
Pro
pro
bono,
bono
sure.
work for sure. But
Especially in this case, this is
Yeah.
a very high profile
Right.
case.
But
Exactly.
for him to be the defense attorney, this seems very awkward because how can you defend? See, that's what, so I'm going to put on my attorney
Please,
hat
please do.
because this is my personal feelings about law. This is not sponsored or backed by anybody but me. Okay, I do not litigate. I chose not to litigate because I don't feel like there's going to ever be a right side. You understand? Especially when we talk about criminal law.
Okay.
I feel like it's hard to say that you can defend someone where you really don't know their truth. Right? They might
Okay.
tell you the truth, but you really don't know their truth. And it's hard to prosecute because you really don't know the truth.
Right.
If my job is to put you in jail as a prosecutor, I have to do that despite what
Right.
may be true on the other side. My job is to prosecute to to the benefit of the city state I'm representing. If I'm a defense attorney, my job is to represent you,
Right.
because you are my client, regardless of what's going on. My attorney-client privilege does not allow me to have an opinion outside of my job. I have to sleep with myself.
I
at
was
night.
about to say, so the problem becomes when there's an ethical quandary.
It's
or
an ethical
across.
quandary,
Right.
Yeah.
and my the way my values, my morals, my ethical quandary, however you want to say it, I feel like there's no right in it, because our law doesn't speak to ethics in that way. Our law doesn't speak. It's written in such a way that there's some times where I cannot necessarily justify how things happen. We were just having this conversation driving in about how some people, when we talk about law, there's some laws that don't allow what is obviously wrong to be wrong, and people are going to jail for something that doesn't even make
That
sense.
didn't even make sense.
The laws, I feel like, sometimes erroneously applied,
Yeah.
or harshly applied. Sometimes, you know what I mean? And there's so many things with that. So I don't know, I wish that we could go back to sleep, wake up, and they tell us that, we just had to fake Nipsey's death. We had to do that because there was some other stuff going on, and we,
Yeah.
and this man would be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish it was that simple. I wish it was a situation where we could, really pretend that, everything was
Staged.
but that's not the case.
Yeah.
And it really is concerning.
Yeah.
It really is.
I've often thought that way about Tupac. People laugh at me, and I laugh at myself for feeling that way, but it's just so many holes in the story of his death, and so many avenues where he could have walked away from America. So many ways he could have done that. So listening to you speak that way lets me know that, not that it may be true, but definitely that my thoughts are a little valid. So, I feel like he could have gone to Cuba with his aunt and, just escape.
Yeah.
You just want it to be that, because people have such a great influence and such a positive influence on the world.
It is. And,
Yeah.
it's crazy that, we're living in times where people are wanting to really be free.
Yeah.
We really wanted to be free. And I really want to delve into this conversation. But before we do, this portion of our show is sponsored by Lady R.I.P Natural Hair Care.
Okay.
Have a kinky, curly style in mind? Lady R.I.P Natural Hair Care has been a prime destination for catering to naturally kinky hair in Houston, Texas, and beyond for over 5 years. Clients come from all over the world to receive the ultimate experience for their natural hair care needs. Lady R.I.P Natural Hair Care has been featured on media outlets including Young Black Professionals Magazine, GMT Internet Radio, The Sphere, and more. Your unique vision can be brought to life complete with helpful tips for maintaining your hair. You'll walk into the salon with the warmest of greetings, complimentary refreshments, and knowledgeable stylists that promote total beauty from the inside out. Our goal is to unveil your kinks one curl at a time. Give the experts a call today at 832-265-3792 or book online at www.ladyiri.com. Again, that's www.ladyayri.com. Yay! Come on, unveiling one kink at a time, your curls. This is what we're trying to do. But yeah, so I think the conspiracy theories have a home, like you and Kayla mentioned. That we have a long history of, especially as African Americans, a long history of violence, or maybe even unaddressed issues that have happened in our community that no one really wants to admit have gone on. And it's so weird because even now, it's 2019, but we're still dealing with the after effects of a lot of these conspiracies and how they have affected our generations before us,
they're happening today.
For sure.
These things are happening. People are just, being shot and killed by police live on social media and all kinds of things,
not being adjudicated to the fullest extent of the law, as we see would happen if it was the reverse. I think as a community we have dealt with a lot of trauma, severe trauma.
Yes.
That it's going to take a while to undo, and it starts with everyone owning their part in it.
But will they undo it is the question.
Well,
and
yeah, I don't know.
And that I think that's one of the things you guys wanted to talk about. What do we expect from the law? What are we expecting from our lawmakers, from our leaders in the world? First you got to listen and empathize and understand, and not turn your back, and put these things out there. I'm all for exposure. And I'm all for, making things known. I follow Sean King and a couple of others, and while, people get in an uproar and people say, well, you are, causing some racial, tension and this and that, but these things are real, they're valid.
No.
And so, we need to get to the bottom of these things.
Yeah, I think
without cover up.
Oh no, for sure, without cover up. Well, that's the biggest thing. I think. So this morning we had a conversation, and the conversation was, what is the real expectation that we want from our leaders, and do we have I guess a true or a valid expectation of leaders just because they're black. I think sometimes, and especially now, what we learned in the past, when President Obama, 44, was in office, there was a split on him being a great president. A lot of people felt like he was not great because they wanted him to come to their hood and pass out whatever they wanted him to pass out, or fix whatever the issues were, the ills were in their community. So they said he wasn't helping black people. We heard this repeat conversation again this morning as it related to Houston and Mayor Turner. And I was like, it's really unfortunate that we believe that just because someone shares our skin tone, that they're the president or vice president or mayor of us and us only. We have to know. We have to know what our leaders are supposed to do. Ideally, when they get into office, especially when we talk about public offices, their job and their responsibility is being leaders for everybody. Not just ones that look like them. Because how would you feel? Because Caitlin brought this up. How would they feel if we had a Latino leader and a Latino leader, or a Latino leader, and they only were advocating for those that look like them? That's just not what we do. And maybe you feel like that because maybe they feel like when they see persons that are not people of color, maybe white people, they feel like maybe those persons are only advocating for them. But you have to realize
they're for the people.
They are for the people, and maybe maybe the majority of those people do look like them, or maybe the majority of those policies do maybe seem to lean or favor a certain group. But at the end of the day, we don't have that type of privilege. We don't have the privilege to pick and choose who we choose to serve when we run for a public office. And when we think about things like that is happening in our communities, and we look at leadership, we have to look at, what do we want the leader to really, if we want the leader to really be impactful, they have to rise above just skin tone.
I follow Killer Mike, and that brought me to what you're saying, brought me to him in my thoughts. He was on a panel once, and he polled the audience and asked them, who in here can fish, who can hunt, how many of you know how to how many of you would kill at any given moment, or whatnot. And he said, well, y'all are not ready to take care of your own people. Y'all are not prepared to, be a revolutionary.
Right.
You're not.
No.
And so, I think we have to not have that expectation if we're not even willing to do it ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think when I even think about, you said Killer Mike. Killer Mike is really, he stepped out. He's having a lot of conversations, and Netflix has, helped, further that conversation. I also think about a lot of things that Killer Mike was saying, the stuff that David Banner has been saying. David Banner has been saying. You're absolutely right. And we have those persons that we consider outliers that they've chosen to go this route. Because they have felt like they had a lot to say to the community.
It's when you start talking about guys that are really being in the community, and what I just think it's asinine that we expect our leaders
it is
in this kind of climate in this country to only look out for us. Like that's selfish. Even if it was at one point in time done the other way, that doesn't mean it was the right way to do it.
It wasn't the right way.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think that we are selfish people. Oftentimes, but at the same time, I feel like, we wouldn't feel some of these things if it were not brought to us that way.
Right. Yeah.
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Go ahead. No.
With the whole slavery thing.
Absolutely.
Let's just let's just put it out there. We did not ask for that. Let's be truthful. And because we didn't ask for it, we were placed separately or have always been put in a separate view of those who are in control.
Right. We have to remember that it wasn't until 1965
Yes.
when the Civil Rights Act was passed, right?
And to put that in perspective, my oldest brother is 11 years older than me. He was born in 64.
Right.
And he is today 55.
Exactly.
That is not
It's crazy. It's
very long ago.
at all.
I am 44 today.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things that
That's
it's very, very interesting. And when you start thinking about whether or not leaders should only, well, let's back up. When you talk about slavery, we do have to realize where it comes from, though, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the selfishness, because we're selfish, but our people have been selfish, but we're traumatized.
Absolutely.
That's really where it comes from. It's that trauma that has been, we're dealing with PTSD that has been passed down to us since the emancipation, right?
17,
Exactly.
1800s,
We're dealing with that. So I get, while I do get it, I get, like, we had a caller on the radio and he was going off. I'm so sick of the stupid black people thinking. Like, he was upset.
Oh, wow.
And I got after he got through with his rant and we had to cut him off. I said, listen, I get where he's coming from. I don't like the words he used. I don't like the way in which he spoke, but I get it because that's the trauma being passed. He was an older brother, so he heard from his elders, you know what I'm saying, who were closer to the movement. Yeah. And we have to be cognizant and aware that trauma exists. When we start talking about trauma and mental health, like the young brother, the brother, he's 29 years old. He's a kid. The one that killed Nipsey.
Yeah.
He's 29.
And
but he's a victim of trauma in his neighborhood.
Absolutely, because if you and I'll tell you that Nipsey's music, I did not start even listening to his music until this week. But I'd followed him and listened to his words, and listening to his music this week, I mean, that's most of what he's talking about. When he knows someone who died and how he had to talk to him, while he was dying after he had been shot in the helicopters, and and I was thinking, golly, I've personally never experienced any of that, but I've seen it. I've seen it on social media, and I've seen it, and now we have him being killed on video and it's going around on social media. That's traumatizing. That's a part of that, and it's just been passed down and passed down. And I feel like, we as a people, yes, we pass it around because they know we're going to pass it around. So somebody injects it out there. And then it's like, this is all you all are worth.
Right. It starts to feed that narrative.
Yeah.
It does. It does start to feed that narrative. And then oftentimes the younger folks, they unknowingly buy into it.
Yeah.
This is the way it is. This is how life is. This is how it's structured. When you go to certain parts of Houston, man, you go to Diddy, you go to, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You go to Sunnyside and South Park, and you start talking to some of these set members and some of these gang members, and this is the way it is. They really feel like this is just life. They've never been outside of 610 to see anything otherwise. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or outside of the Beltway. I got cousins who ain't been outside of 285 in Atlanta, and they dudes, they about their life, because they haven't been exposed and they've accepted the fact that this is who we are. This is the way it is. And it's that trauma being passed down.
Yeah. Shout out to my dad and my mom. We would jump in our custom van and we would hit the highway. Right. And it allowed us to see certain things, and, but a lot of my family members have not. And, and they are, shelled, encased in their situations. But you don't have to be, This is somebody who, Nipsey was someone who was raised in L.A., he was in the streets of L.A., and I imagine that he probably wanted to think beyond Crenshaw because his dad was Eritrean, and he had a lot of other factors that led him away from that life. But he decided. He made a decision.
So, for sure. So when we start talking about the types of leaders we want, I think it's important to make a distinction, right, between a leader and like a supervisor or a manager.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think when we start looking at that, I think it's important that we kind of talk about those nuances.
Yeah.
A
A supervisor or a manager, as a manager today, is someone who delegates. Is someone who, they get in the trenches, here and there, but they create, an atmosphere of order and making sure that things are organized. A leader is someone who is, of the people. Yeah. And it's out there and making sure that everyone's voice in some way is heard.
No, I'm just going to jump in, but go
ahead.
No, I was going to jump because I think, just really just kind of think about the difference between, like, key differences between leaders and managers. I think a lot of times we see, like, we think about, for instance, we'll talk about Houston and our mayor. Our mayor he's for all intents and purposes, he is a manager of the city. Yeah. He has a leadership position, but that doesn't totally make him a leader. I'm not saying he's not a leader.
It doesn't
but I'm just saying
that
it's just. And I think a lot of times people assume that even from a business perspective, that when you become a manager, that automatically qualifies you as a leader. And there are distinct differences between leaders and managers. Managers are there to fulfill a space on a hierarchical, chain. So
org chart
or an org chart, right?
Yeah.
So managers may be like from a business perspective. I came up with this list. Like, leaders focus on creating value and enabling people to do things. Managers really count value. They're dollars and cents.
Absolutely.
They're like you said, from a hierarchical perspective on an org chart, they're filling space to do a specific task. Yeah. But a leader is going to, probably cross the board. Yeah. May not ever have the title, but is going to definitely do something that's going to give, it's going to bring a lot more value that might not be able to be counted with dollars and cents. Leaders have followers. A good leader is going to have a follower. Managers have subordinates. Yep. People that are usually underneath them. Leadership refers to an individual's ability to influence and inspire. Yeah. So we talk about inspiration and inspiring. Leaders can exist all the time. You don't necessarily have to be at work to be a leader, right?
Be a leader, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Managers are like leaders bridge leaders bridge gaps.
Yeah.
Managers identify gaps. Yeah. So we're looking at some totally different dynamics here. So when you have a leader, you're constantly like, okay, well, what is the need that we need to fulfill, and how do we get there? Yeah. Managers, when we talk about business, they grow companies, right? Leaders grow individuals.
Yes.
Leaders grow people so they can enable them and empower them to get to, that spacing and bridging the gap. So if I get the right person at the right place and empower them, speak to whatever issues are going on, they can be in the right place. It's kind of like going back to the Nipsey conversation. He was a leader in his community.
Absolutely.
Because he's taking people off the streets that didn't have jobs, giving them a function or allowing them to build up their self-esteem and self-worth so they can function better in their community. And hence we can actually go to the real problem is reducing crime, the recidivism rates and things like that. We're trying to help cure an ill that's happening in our community so that we won't have these issues anymore. And leaders have a transformative effect on people. Managers are more transactional.
Transactional, yes.
Managers are transactional. And so when we talk about city, state, government, community, we're looking for leaders. Yeah. It's okay to have a title, but I want to make sure that everyone knows that most leaders operate without a title. If you're looking for someone that you've hired to operate as a leader, then you need to go beyond just job qualifications and degrees.
Yes.
You're looking at some maybe soft skills that cannot necessarily be ascertained by having a training or an interview. There are some things like it takes, to develop a soft skill, you might have to do an extended amount of face-to-face environmental shifting, exposure. Like it takes a while to develop a soft skill.
Soft skills are typically learned through problematic situations. In my career, I've learned soft skills based on issues and drama and having bad, I don't want to say bad, or challenging situations, employees and situations. So soft skills can be learned, but they are definitely groomed. People can put it in a book all day long. You know, I've read all the books on management, but definitely I learned the most having, you know, those experiences.
Having to implement, for sure.
But I wanted to say that, you know, being in management, the fulfillment for me, I'll say, I do have 3 supervisors that report to me. Oh Lord, should I be saying this on this podcast? But you know, oftentimes, you know, there is a breakdown in the level of like you said, the transactional versus the transformative. My goal is to lift up those that are under them and make sure that they have what they need to, you know, go higher. And yesterday I had one of my employees come and say, I'm not leaving your team because, you know, you're here. And I'm going to stay here because you're here. I thought she was trying to, you know, dip out. And she said, and if you decide to go anywhere,
I need you to let me know so
I
I
need
can
you
go.
to let me know because I'm coming with you. And so
That's a hallmark of a leader.
That's what
Well
you
done,
should
Angela.
be. Thank you.
Well done.
That's what you should be aiming for as a leader, that people want to love and follow you. And speaking of Nipsey, you know, yeah, he was a leader in his community, but this man was influencing the masses, impacting the world. There's a video going around that he posted, I guess, at some point, and he was just giving like a quick little nuggets. You know, hey, this is what you need to do. Hey, y'all wake up every day, you take care of your people, you do this, you do that. And I said, I had never seen that. I've seen his interviews, but I'd never seen that. He's standing under a tree somewhere, and it's just like, you know, it was just in him to be that way. And that's the mark of a true leader, you know.
And it's so funny that you mentioned that because I think this year has been interesting for me. And the past month or so, I've been asking myself, like, you know, what is the legacy? You know, what's the impact? I mean, I've been really, especially maybe the last quarter of last year really has been hitting me. I'm like, because for number one, I'm not trying to leave here no time soon. So Lord, you know, I want to live all my days.
We want you to stay.
Right. I want to stay. I want to see my kids.
Absolutely.
I want to be here. I want my husband to see the kids. But even now where we're having all these opportunities to have platforms and, you know, things like that, what am I leaving or what am I giving people in the now? I need to give somebody stuff in the now because I'm looking at the Nipseys and I'm looking at other people who are profound and unashamed, and I'm like, and I try, and then I do a self check, and I do my self check, and I'm like, what has prevented me from doing certain things? And it's not opportunity. You know, it is sometimes we just have to get out our own way and really just come like, what prevents me from going out there and being the best? Because here we go, this young man, 33 years old, you know, looks like every bit of a stereotype.
Looks like.
And I'm like, then that's we have to go to the packaging. You know, as a community, we have to get past the packaging, how we, assess people from how they look and what we think that they're going to do. I think that's the biggest issue from our community. Like we assume that because if you look a certain way, because, you know, our generations past, if you look a certain way, then you don't have nothing for me because I'm assuming that you are this.
Yes.
And, you know, for us, for you to be smart, you need to have a suit, tie, and some glasses. Because then I even had to remind my little sister, like, we go on an interview. I hate to say, but you might need to wear your glasses. Because you're pretty. Wear your glasses. Because you need to be smart and pretty. You know, I'm like, you just can't be pretty because that's not gonna get you the job.
That's
psychological.
So 2 things come to mind when you mention that. The first thing is someone posted, and I think it was Gary Lee, but I could be wrong. Someone posted that about code switching, saying that, you know, we wouldn't have to do that if you know what code switching is. We wouldn't have to code switch if we would learn to support one another, you know, our own community. We would be communicating with ourselves, and we could speak and talk the way we speak and talk, and you know, not be limited to our conversation. The second part of what she was speaking about, looking a certain way, you know, that's one of my things that I've always been cognizant of, is that, you know, I'm a fat black woman. And while many people may not think that that is a level of, you know, whatever you want to call it, I guess, people tend to not take me seriously, you know, and I present myself, you know, in corporate America, and, you know, I have to sell.
Huge Munchies Corporation.
Yes,
right.
I have to present myself a certain way, say certain trigger and keywords, sell myself.
Right.
My resume has, you know, not only, you know, my work history, but definitely my accomplishments. And I mean, I have to do it all in order to make people take me seriously.
Yeah.
But I'm also dealing with that in my real life. You know, a lot of people think because I'm a fat black woman that I'm insecure, that I don't love myself, or, you know, I'm not aware of being healthy and all this other stuff. You know, why is it that we look at a person
Right.
and immediately assume that they are of a certain thought process or way of life? One thing I am not is insecure. I am not.
Never have been.
Never have been, and I don't think I ever will be. I know that it exists for many women who are, you know, people call them plus size, whatever. But one thing about me, I'm not dealing with that issue. And, you know, so we can't look at a package and just automatically assume, especially with each other, because we're already dealing with that with, you know, outsiders of our community.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They're already looking.
I mean, gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And that's what
sure
you.
you
Yeah,
know.
a lot of you know, regardless if it's white, Latino,
Yeah.
African, like African American, black folk, like we all have done it in some way, shape, form, or fashion, and that's a hurdle that we as humans have to get over.
Yeah.
But you know, when we started talking about not your leaders. Black leaders not doing anything for black folks. Like, come on, man. That's asinine. I mean, it really is, because you have processes and things that you have to do to go through, political processes that you have to adhere to, so that when you have to work on both sides of the aisle, you have to, you know, collaborate.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a whole bunch of things, but we are out of time.
Oh man.
It goes by fast when you the interviewee. It goes by even faster, doesn't it? It goes by faster when you're the interviewee instead of the interviewer. But listen, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Let everybody know how they can contact you, get a hold of you, see what's going on with the events one more time.
Mixing Single everywhere. MIXNSINGLE. On every social media platform. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Pinterest, we're everywhere. The web address is www.mixindsingleevents.com.
There it is. And I'm Kalen Laws, aka Senor Wapo, SENORGUAPO 713, signing out for my partner in time. Follow her at The Modern Day Cindy. That's Cindy with an I, not a Y. Yes. And we'll see you all next time on Society Now. Appreciate you.
Loved it. Thank you.